Today, we're going to talk about 3 books that will make you smarter than 99% of people in the world. What being smarter means, to me, it means that it's not just your level of IQ and how book smart you are, how many books you've read, and how many facts you know. It's about how you conduct yourself. How do you get your life so fulfilled that people will look at you and be amazed and want to be like you? And the first book I want to talk about is The Unfair Advantage by Ash Ali and Hassan Kuba. Now, this book talks about how you already have everything it takes to be successful. It helps me become more aware of my strengths and recognize how I can leverage them to reach my goals. In The Unfair Advantage, the authors talked about a framework called MILES, which stands for money, intelligence, location, education, and status. And you don't need to have all of them to be successful. You just need to recognize where do you have that unfair advantage. This book reminds me a little bit of Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell because it talks about how the combination of your background, the opportunities that you get, everything together is what makes you successful. But what the unfair advantage is so brilliant about is because it talks about how you can be a lot more aware of your strengths. I'm not going to try to pretend that I know this book inside out, so I'm just going to open my bookmark here and go through this framework together with you. I've already done this exercise and found things that I find are my advantages, and I want to share a little story after we go through all these pillars. So the first pillar is money. Money is basically the capital you have or that you can easily raise. The intelligence and insight pillar includes book smart as well as your IQ and EQ and also your creativity. Location and luck is all about being at the right place and at the right time. And education and expertise is about both schooling but also things that you learn outside of your official school, because nowadays it's so easy to learn from the internet, from YouTube, from social media, anywhere else that a lot of people don't even need a proper education, undergrad or master's degree anymore. Just find what you want to learn and find the way to get that education. And lastly, it's status. What I like about how this book explains status is that it can be both internally and externally. Externally means how people perceive you and your personal brand, whether it's from your educational background or your job. People will perceive you a certain way because how you build yourself up towards that personal brand. And then also internal is all about your confidence. So how you show up and how you portray yourself also adds to that personal brand image that will show your status. I want to share a little story with you. When I was graduating from university, I really wanted to get a big girl job, a job at a big tech company or a big consulting firm, or any big company really. And that's because I wanted to make my family happy and proud. Now, at that time, I was living in a smaller city in British Columbia, Canada, where none of those big companies operate. So to actually get to that big goal of mine, I had to move and make that big risk to move to a city where I didn't know anybody. So I moved all the way to Toronto and I started looking for opportunities. Fast forward to today, I've been working at big tech companies. Cannot be more happy about the big goal that I've achieved. And obviously, I took that risk and it became my unfair advantage. Now that I'm evaluating my life and my next big goal, I will take everything that I've learned from moving, from changing the location to now have that status and education to maybe creating something even bigger than that. And so I hope that you can take that book, The Unfair Advantage, learn something from it like I did, and also create or understand what your unfair advantages are to then create the life that you want. Next up is Deep Work by Cal Newport. I cannot recommend this enough. I literally live by this book. It talks about how distracting is this world and how we tend to do so much busy work and then get distracted by social media, scrolling our phones. If we work from home, maybe doing the dishes, doing the laundry. And then if we're in the office, maybe talking to coworkers and doing everything else but actually work. So when I pick up deep work, I've learned a few tools that really help me getting work done and actually do the work that would move the needle rather than doing busy work. As an example, one of the things that I honestly do almost every day is blocking times out for doing deep work, which means I would always pick 1 or 2 hours time block where I'm not distracted by anything else. And it's not just as simple as telling myself I'll be focused, because obviously that's not gonna work. What I do is trying to remove all the distractions possible. So if I do work from home, I am going to lock my phone in a different room and make sure that it's not nearby, because if it's right here, it's too easy for me to just check on notifications, check if there's any messages coming through. And then I would also try to work at a clear table, because if I have other things that are lying around that are distracting me, I will definitely get distracted. And if I work at the office, a lot of time I would just try to book a room where I would just focus for that 1 or 2 hours to work on that project that I want to focus on. Because in the open space, it's too easy to start talking to your coworkers, too easy to get distracted. Maybe even if it's a brainstorm and actually work-related thing, it's still a distraction if it's not getting your work or your project done. So doing deep work will help you find success and find it faster. Last but not least, it's Storyworthy by Matthew Dicks. I picked up this book when I wanted to become a better storyteller. I wanted to speak on stages. I joined Toastmasters, and I really wanted to craft good stories. So Storyworthy really helped expand my mind on what stories actually are, and that stories don't only belong to people on stages. It belongs to all of us, because stories lies everywhere in every single day life. You have a story when you make a cup of coffee in the morning, or a story when your cat jumps on your bed when you just wake up. A story is literally everywhere, every single day in your life. Now, Matthew Dicks shared an exercise called Homework of Life, where you only need to type a sentence or a few words a day to remind you of what the day was about, and that helps you to be more present and remember your days better, and then also recall those memories and those stories when time comes when you need to share them, whether it's with your friends, your colleagues, at a networking event. It all just triggers your mind because you have consistently thinking and being present with those moments and stories. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been consistent or actually writing this homework for life daily, but once I read Storyworthy, I've become much more present with those little moments in life, because I know that all of those moments are the stories that I'll be able to tell one day. You know, not every day is memorable. I don't have every single day where I'm like, okay, I have a story to tell. But what I've learned from this book is how to actually craft the story from those mundane days, from the things that you might not think is worthy, but it is story worthy. So for example, think of it as a 5-second rule, where it's basically a pic of your story when everything changes. If it's just something that happened yesterday, maybe you spilled your coffee and it changes the trajectory of your morning. Oh, that could be that 5 seconds that you remember to then tell the story about it. Or it might be something a lot more significant. You came to work and the 5-second is that you got a promotion. Big deal. Obviously now then you'll remember it, but that's the big moment that you want to remember to share that story about. The reason why I think storytelling is so important is because stories are very powerful. They help you to be persuasive, to share your ideas better. And that can be helpful in so many different areas of your life, whether it's in an interview, whether it's in a networking event, or if you're on a date. Sharing the stories will help you be memorable to the other person you're talking to. So I highly recommend reading through Storyworthy and just learn a little bit more about how to craft your stories, your own stories that you'll be able to share and tell in any part of your life. So here are the 3 books that will help you become smarter than 99% of people. The Unfair Advantage, that will help you recognize your strengths to stand out in the very, very crowded world. Deep Work, that will help you stay focused and get work done so that you can reach your goals. And Storyworthy, so that you can craft your stories and share them to the world. I hope you found this helpful and that you'll read the books, and please share in the comments if you have any thoughts and if you found these books helpful. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one.